free service. One thing I'll mention is that behind us you see Attitudes. That's getting changed for next year. So you can see some construction there.
What is it?
Attitudes is the shop right there.
The old hat place? What does it do? Sold hats and stuff.
What's it going to be? I can't tell you.
Jesus Christ! It's changing a little bit.
It is changing, yeah.
That's all you can say.
Yeah.
Still sales or something?
It'll be something else.
How close are we, since you're in IT, how close are we to being able to have one card that we can charge it to have a room fee?
For like the room charges?
For Cedar Point charges, every kind of charge?
Yeah. They're getting closer with the season pass, not so much the room charges. This year there'll be a QR code on your season pass as well as a barcode. The QR code will be used in Fun Fix.
Okay.
This year, if you have Fun Fix on your season pass.
So if we do we'd have to go get a new season pass then.
Yep.
Like I'm still using mine from 6 years ago.
Yeah, you can get a new one if you want. If you don't want, then you can get a card with a QR code that's for your Fun Fix account. I'm not sure. You could probably have a regular season pass with Fun Fix attached to it, but I'm not
You're going to do it all year, all you can Fun Fix.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Let's see how far.
Get your stick of cheese since you're by the cheese stick right.
It's locked with 2 different passwords, so
Right, it's locked up.
down a little closer towards the engine house.
Please, not anymore. Don't walk on it.
From Cedar Point,
Behind the drop.
I know they said in one of the blogs, like the newest blog on Share, I think they said.
Do they? Yeah, I'm not sure myself. I don't know if they probably do it by weight. Do they have it posted by weight, how many volts or individual?
I didn't actually read the blog, but I know one of the titles was how many volts was used on valve rating.
People working on the block right now. That's total track bike for all the coasters at the park. Yeah.
And then, do you know where they store the stage in the winter?
Where they store the stage?
Yeah, or the bleachers.
Bleachers? I don't know. Services, which manages the sound and cameras. The boxes here at the bottom, those are the subwoofers, and there's, on each side there's subwoofers. There's 3 boxes with 2 15-inch subwoofers per box, and they use 15,000 watts to drive those speakers, and that comes out of that small building right there.
Watch out. Missed.
Because they use crown amplifiers, crowns are thousands, so it's 2,000 watts. And they run them in series. A lot of the needed around 2,000. There's a lot of speakers. Or individual rides, like where they speak from, that's run with just a real tiny, real big a deal to use. Bogart 20s.
Okay.
Just real small amps. They have like an iron drag and that will push the station, and then they got a toggle switch that'll go up to one, up to most rides are that way. The only ride that I can think of that is not that way is Snake River Falls. They have a separate amp that's up top and chute where they can spiel to please sit down. Don't stand up. Store the trains. I'm not sure if we're the only, or one of the only that uses real steam locomotives.
Leave my group, but you know, make sure you stay with us.
A 5.
Oh, to make the be broken.
A 5K.
Oh.
She's doing Judy well. My second piece.
I'll be turning that.
There's some envelopes from pamphlets on the history of the engines there.
No presentation. Pictures and whatever questions they have. Yeah.
A little bit. Good morning. Any questions, just holler. I got made up answers, one by one.
Actually, I have a question. Sure. Do you think we'll ever see the GA Boeckling or the other engine back there ever in operation
Probably.
again?
Oh no, we'll put out the Davenport again this year. We did it this year. I only did it 1 year. George, I don't know. We did it out. I had about 2 years ago. Last year, I don't think we had them out at all. It's awful heavy, and we don't care for the abuse it might give the rails. It's a very hot cab, and there's only one engineer that really likes to run it. The rest of us, you know, so
Yeah.
we tend to run. Well, we prefer these two here, the two Vulcans, and we'll run the Davenport. It's just a little more difficult to run. And as a crew, you like to run the ones that you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
What makes one more difficult to run than another?
Well, this one here, what it is the throttle mostly for the engineer. And there's a thing called the Johnson bar, which is forward reverse step bar. But this engine here, or this one, I can sit down and get both controls and not a problem. This engine here, I got to stand up, step forward to grab the forward reverse, the Johnson bar. And the throttle on this one's just a little touchy. It's a different style of throttle. These two engines, we can move. If you say move that engine 2 inches, I can move it 2 inches. This one here, the minute you crack the throttle, you got about 6-8 inches. And once kind of doesn't, it's not real abrupt, but it kind of goes out there. It doesn't want to stop all the way. So it's a little. We like to take off and have the cars real nice and smooth, pick up and go away. This one here kind of wants to bang the cars a little bit. Like you've heard a straight start out, bang, 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 bang. We like to not do that. We want to kind of have them pick up real nice and easy. Once they're all tightened, then we give it more pressure. So it's a matter of preference, personal preference.
Is it hard to find engineers to run them?
No, we can all run it.
I mean, I can't imagine there's a lot of people who are
Oh, no, none of us,
engine operators.
not any one of us that work. I retired 9 years ago. I've been doing this for, well, I retired 10 years ago, doing this now for 9. Everyone who comes here starts out without, they weren't engineers when they got here. I don't know of anyone that were engineers. I worked on the railroad at college, but it was different than this. It was a diesel locomotive. But you learn, you start as a fireman, the guy who's shoveling the coals and doing all the oiling when you stop. You start out as a fireman, you learn how to do that well. Then by the next year you start getting a little bit of the experience of the engineer, doing a few things there, and then you slowly over the years build up your experience on how to do it. So when you're done, you're proficient. But none of us walked in the door with any knowledge. It was.
How long does each fill-up of water last?
Well, we fill the tender up. Well, we stop, and every third or fourth circuit will add water to the tender. But we do that out of security. We have amazing cushion for safety.
Right.
That tender I could probably get by filling up once a day.
Okay.
We'll stop, top it off every 3 laps. If ever we would stop and be stuck somewhere, I got more water than I'll ever need. So, because the most important thing in this is water. We can sit all day long, but if we don't have water, it's a big bummer.
Right.
So the most important thing we do when we run is we're always paying attention, where's our water, where's our water? It's like ingrained in you. And there's a gauge there, you can watch it. And as we travel, we add water. It was just a part of the process. Not even looking at it, I know I add water. And then in addition to that, we watch it. So the most important thing is, where's your water?
And how long does the coal last?
Well, we put it up on there for a day. Each engine runs about 3/4 of a ton for a day. And we shovel coal into 5-gallon buckets with a fork. And at the end of the day, when we shut him down, we put 35 buckets of coal on the train, dump it in the tender, throw the empty buckets off to the side. Next day, depending on how many trains you run, you either fill 5 or 10 buckets, each member of our crew. So you got sometime during the day and fill your 5 or fill your 10. No, it'll all be stacked up out there. When you travel the train, look over, you see all those buckets lined up. Then at night, we pour them into the tender for the next day.
You use a fork, not a shovel.
Correct. Now, when we're on the train, we use a shovel. So, but out there, there's these forks. Some of them are shipped on the wall over here somewhere. Yeah, very end. You'll see.
Okay.
So when we put coal on there, we kind of bounce it a little bit to get some of the coal dust off and put nice solid pieces in the bucket.
Okay.
But about 3/4 of a ton a day. And we're one of the last few railroads, Dollywood, us. I think there's one other, but I can't think of, that you actually use coal.
I've seen the
They're
Dollywood one. That's a big train.
That's a big train. Yeah, that's a nice train. I'd love to run that. It's the same. Everything on this train is the same on those engines.
Right.
They may have extra assist in items, that where steam will assist do something that we do by hand, but everything else remains the same. mean, I wouldn't dare say I could jump on and be proficient right away, but I mean, I know where all the stuff is and I could probably run it.
Do they need a train that big? Are they hauling more?
They
or
just
is it
bought the
just
stuff.
style?
That's what they got. That's what they wanted.
Okay.
How often do you have to refill the sand tanks?
We don't ever use the sand.
Oh.
Oddly enough, we don't. They're there, of course, but we don't. And you see the tube coming down. That's what that center dome, the brass one, that black tube coming down. In its day, that would have been filled with sand, and the engineer could drop some sand down on the rail to provide traction. So you can imagine a steel wheel, a steel rail in the mornings when they're moist or during a rain. It's a real, you got to be very tender to get it going. So,
But you don't need it?
no, we don't need it. We're not pulling the load. This engine has such torque. Both these engines have just amazing torque. Far more power than what we need it for. If those cars are full of 360 people, we can still, it's like nothing for this engine to yank it. So we're not fighting that inertia that, we're not trying to get the, they pull way more than we're pulling. So we'll slide if I'm not gentle, it'll start and spin them, but we can get going.
And how long does it take to warm one of the engines up in the morning?
If it's cold, let's say it's not been run for a while, it takes about 2 hours to build enough fire and pressure and to get it up going. If we use it the day before, the next morning we can have it ready in about an hour. But every morning you got to open that firebox up and there's all the residue from the coal the night before. You got to shovel all that out and clean it all up. And then you pour wood in there. You see this wood pile out here. You throw piles of wood in there. We have all of our barrels are out. But we throw a big pile of wood in there. We start with the wood pile. We keep throwing wood in there until we get about 10 pounds of pressure. And at that point, we start introducing coal. And then we build it up. We like to run between 80 and 120 pounds of pressure. So once we get around 80, we're good to go. And then we have safeties up here. You see below that whistle, those two things sticking up, those are safeties. At 140 pounds or 142 pounds, those things will shoot pressure off. So you'll see every now and then we'll have our pressure up. The engine's sitting there, that thing goes. Those are safeties that keep us from building up too much pressure. One's like 2 pounds heavier than the other, so I don't know. We've never hit the second one, so we never built that kind of pressure up. So.
Can you get these up to 88 miles an hour?
Probably down a cliff. But these were never built for speed. They aren't geared for that. These were built to work heavy loads, short distances. They were never meant to go down the highway, down the main line at 60, 70 miles an hour. They're not geared for that. No, they were built as one. We're getting the whole line. Take us down to well, this is going to go right through. Everything you see, you're running here and everything. This guy's there are people out there that take part. We have some folks these guys
Excuse me?
I know that.
Playing, Mom.
Made in 1940, so that's how long you've been sitting there. I thought it was a person in there until I got closer.
Oh yeah, I thought there was a person in there too.
You know, I kept seeing the orange hat. That originally. It was conducted from 1940. You just got stuck there.
You're right here.
Whole we've got out there.
What?
We can go by Myron 8.
We've already been here for 20
We'll go by Myron.
No more 3 train upgrades. I remember.
We must have picked. Huh? This is
Yeah, we can stand right here.
the one that they never use. You can go on the other side to see the nameplate.
One glass on the back of the phone.
There is.
That's cool.
Thanks. Of course.
It was always a competition between us and
Thank you very much. Sure. No.